Everything we know, from people and ants to stars and galaxies to quarks and atoms, the entire universe, might just be a simulation running inside a supercomputer inside an even bigger universe. Ancient philosophers said that the universe is a dream that we're waiting to wake up from. In this dream world of the imagination, anything is possible. All cultural items, from the dreams of our rodent-like ancestors, to books, to television shows, are merely permutations of the reality we think we live in. Today's age of computers and video games places simulations at the center of our cultural consciousness. A select group of us perform simulations for fun and profit, and we call them games, role-playing and otherwise. We live to run simulations. Join us on the Simulationist podcast as we explore our culture of simulations.
Hello everybody, welcome back to the Simulationist podcast. This is the 142nd iteration of the show, recorded on the 24th of May, 2015. My name is Josh Levin. With me on the other microphone, as always,
co-host extraordinaire, Ryan Kirkby.
Hey Ryan Kirkby, how you doing?
Well, I'm healthier than I was this time last week, so
hooray! Yeah, you got over your cold? That's
I won't say completely got over it. Right now, basically, my immune system's doing a bit of a spring cleaning. It's just going through and getting rid of all the junk in the blood.
I like it. Well, is it still spring? Yeah, technically, for another month.
No, that's how I like to see it. When you're done, like, I'm not sick anymore. I'm a little low on the energy, but I'm not sick. I'm not contagious. But, I'm still producing the mucus. Why? And it's like, well, like my immune system's getting rid of all this stuff. It's like, okay, high alert's going down. Let's reduce our factors, our numbers again, and get rid of all the bad stuff. And it's a better way of me rationalizing blowing my nose, even though I'm not sick. So,
Okay, yeah.
Hooray, rationalizations. How about you, Josh?
Oh, I've been doing good, yeah.
All right, so I didn't get you sick from last week.
No.
Oh, good. That was my one big fear.
Yeah, thankfully, I've been very healthy the last time I was sick was probably in the winter sometime.
Well, knock on wood here. Don't jinx yourself.
Maybe, yeah.
I just a little curious because I was talking at you, spewing my germs for 90 minutes, so a week ago. So it's
yeah, it's okay. I didn't breathe.
Oh, okay. I can dig it. So yes, we got two things of note for that come across our radar this week
with what's going on in the world today.
I guess the breaking news as of today. Yes. The great man, John Nash. You may recognize him from the movie A Beautiful Mind. He was not any of the actors. He was the guy it was based on.
I think he shows up near the end of the movie in a little, oh, this is who the movie's based on.
This is actually him, not just these wonderful, handsome actors.
Yeah, he's a great mathematician of, our
He helped crack
time.
Codes, for the government, despite having mental issues that were preventing him from seeing reality as it exists in the most objective sense.
Yeah, so unfortunately we lost him and his wife.
Traffic accident. Nothing grand, he saved the world, or nothing sad, he died of pneumonia after 2 months of suffering. It was a traffic accident. That's, sad, but apparently pretty quick as things go, I believe.
I don't really want to speculate too much on how his end was, but
he wasn't suffering for months in a hospital. We can at least call that a silver lining.
Well, I just wanted to say about he was one of these guys who sort of pioneered game theory. If you saw the movie A Beautiful Mind, you would have seen all these cool diagrams of I think he was inspired by pigeons fighting each other over crumbs or something like that, basically doing this game theory and turning that into a diagram that you can sort of map.
Yeah, how much do you want to fight for this resource before it becomes deleterious to do so? Things like that.
And so there's fighting, and then there's foraging behaviors and things like that, and there's all these other different strategies that you can have as an agent in a universe with competing agents and stuff like that, although not necessarily.
Trust me, game theory is some very interesting stuff if you can get into it, and just learning about how some of the stuff goes with the professionals blew my mind in university. They had a thing you have, game theory, a nice way here to describe it is you are going to interact with another member of your species. It doesn't really matter what your species is. You can be aliens, you can have all sorts of craziness on that. You can be the pigeons in the park. Yeah. But you basically have two options. One, a positive interaction with them, or a negative interaction with them.
Just because we don't have a camera, Ryan is making hand gestures for me.
I'm either thumbs up or there's another digit for the deleterious one. And if you give like a nice hearty positive welcome, and they give a nice positive welcome too, because the other person has an option too, then you both get like 2 points.
Mm-hmm.
But if you give the negative response and they give positive, they lose a point and you gain 3 points. But if you both give negative responses, then it's like 0 points for each.
Right.
And so you go through 50 iterations of this. And then you got to figure out what's the best, methodology for interacting with, your peers in this case. And they've had big conferences where they get huge groups of scientists and they're all working out different plans. And it's usually responsive plans. In the first instance, I do this, and then I repeat what they did the last one.
Mm-hmm.
So that they quickly learned, it helps to have a memory in yourself. So, hey, that's an explanation for why brains evolved. It helps to remember what happened.
Yeah, I like that you can sort of abstract all these complex behaviors into basically a bit that's 1 or 0 into something like positive versus negative interaction. So,
and then you combine it for the 4 potential outcomes.
Yeah, I like that because it collapses complexity down.
And let's
makes
face
it very simple.
When you're trying to work with something like a biological model, the more you can collapse the complexity into simplicity, the less headaches you're going to wind up having.
But it's funny because immediately after that, you're like, finally, okay, we've simplified it. Immediately after that, you start building systems out of those simple rules, and those, again, complexity emerges from that.
But that's the thing, though, and that shows a lot of interesting things. But here's the big bit about this interaction thing. What turned out to be the best system devised by scientists?
Yeah, best to date, or as far as you know.
For decades.
Oh, I remember this because I think it was start with something nice, I think, like your
positive. First interaction is positive.
Yeah, and then after that, it's just retaliatory, or
whatever they did on the previous turn.
Yeah,
which is the golden rule: do unto others as they do unto you. And that one actually proved to be the best one for years and years and years. All the systems they tested, they put through all the other styles, and they worked against all the other systems. They're like, which one comes out with the most amount of points? The golden rule did, especially against itself, because you both start off positive and then you do what the other guy did, so it's positives all the way down the board. There was only 2 minor changes to that were able to get a better effect. The first change that they made was the golden rule +1. You start off positive, and then you do positive until they've wronged you twice, and then you wrong them once. So that way, if someone does oh, I'm doing the golden rule, but we'll start off with a negative effect, and that way it doesn't switch back and forth. One person hurting the other person helping them.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if you keep in that track where you have the memory of okay, he's harmed me twice. Now I flip him off the next time I see him. That gets a better response, only marginally, but it does get a slightly better response. So not only does it pay to turn the other cheek, but you keep a spare cheek, and then once both cheeks get smacked, then you go.
A spare cheek.
And then the second one was at the 50th interaction, screw them over. You're never going to meet them again. It technically always pays to try, messing over the other guy in your final interaction.
That feels to me like I
that
find
might be a little bit of a metagaming thing if you know you're never going to meet them again.
Yeah, I find this in game design too, because I went to a game design meeting on Wednesday and stuff, and yeah, when you get to the end game, a lot of games as you're designing them have this problem where there's this sort of end cliff where it's the last round and everybody knows what's happening, and so all of the strategies, all the things that the tools that you've been used to working with through the whole game, suddenly none of them matter because this is the last round, and suddenly you have an entirely different your options are narrowed, and it's basically you gotta screw the other guy over because this is the last time, and you gotta try and hit him
Like
hit
Mario
the guy who
Kart,
can't
you got to
hit you
get him with
back.
the blue shell just before he crosses
Just
the
before
line.
crossing the finish line. And then, even though they were playing a better game than you the whole way, if you just hit him at that moment and knock him back just...
And game theory shows that, yes, that's a legitimate tactic that gets you a better output.
What I'm saying, though, is
weird.
Game theory places sort of those realistic scenarios into a box, and the scenarios are like, oh, hey, this box has edges I can run into. So I don't know if it's a fair way to simulate stuff. But
well,
okay.
I mean, I suppose if that final interaction winds up killing the other person, then you're guaranteed that's the final interaction you're going to have with them.
Yeah.
But yeah, those were the only 2 tweaks to the golden rule. So people who say stuff, like, oh, the Bible doesn't teach us anything of value. No, actually, through happenstance, through trial and error, through a wise man watching other people go through life, they managed to come up with the best, quick and easy formula for interactions with your peer group. It's the golden rule. And that's a very interesting and profound thing to think about. It's like, oh, just because it was written, back in the Bronze Age doesn't mean that the people weren't still people and you couldn't learn from them.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I like the fact that it is a sort of, it's an observational truth about human interactions, because you don't necessarily have to know the golden rule, because animals who can't communicate can still be altruistic to each other. They can still have,
or at least non-malevolent.
Well, they can be nice to their kin, or what is it? I can't remember.
There's another one with bats, where if blood-drinking bats, if they don't get something to eat in 3 days, they will die. And so the bats around them, if they find that the bat hasn't drank in 2 nights, they will regurgitate up some food. But they won't keep doing it. You only get 1 until you give back to the blood bank, effectively.
Oh, that's weird. Huh.
So if you're too much of a burden, they'll feed you once, but that next time, day 5, when you can't get anything yourself, then that's it. They're not feeding you again. You are dead.
Yeah, and I like it too, because it's basically math. It's basically just a sort of a reality of being in an environment. And
you didn't vomit up any blood for me since the last time I fed you, so I don't care if you're starving. You are a gone cause, buddy.
Yeah, and it's funny because it isn't even that sort of narrative sort of speaking that we think of as when we're thinking about, oh, I'm going to be moral to this person. Although on one level maybe it kind of is, because maybe we think too much of our own morality when it's really just sort of mechanical. And
well, that's the thing is a lot of people think too highly of it when all you really need to do is start off with a positive interaction and let it flow from there.
Yeah.
So think about that next time you're in a bit of a bad mood, and you're out and about and they say, hey, don't treat the hot dog vendor with any snark. Treat him, good for the first time, and hopefully it works on out.
Yeah. John Nash is going to be missed from the world, from the planet, but that's
his lessons will live on forever, though. We have become a richer society because of his game theory. I suppose, his addition to game theory, but I believe, once everything gets cleared from the government in another 60 years, we may become even richer on our cryptography fronts. We may be more secure people because of what he has to teach. Which is interestingly weird, too, because, he will be teaching us these lessons decades after he's gone now, because some of the stuff isn't going to be declassified for a very, very long time. So, a interesting thought to think about is just because a person's gone doesn't mean they don't have still ways of teaching.
That's right. Yep.
That's a powerful lesson, I think.
Sure.
Nice. In other news, I've noticed something when I was ootin' a boot downtown today. Or not today, sorry, this last week. IFCon in Victoria is coming up on Halloween.
So, what if?
Yes.
What if?
IFCon, Island Film or, Island Fun convention.
Island Fantasy. So it's it's a little bit like Comic-Con, or?
There is a nice selection of celebrities, authors, artists. They're doing some film showings. The films seem to be mostly local talent stuff. You want to watch a good horror movie that was made here on the island, by golly, there's a nice premiere screening for you.
So this is different from Godicon. I think Godicon is a little bit more video gaming.
It's focused on the game. This is focused on more stuff like the celebrities, the movies, the industry.
Okay, yeah.
Which, I mean, it's just perfectly good. I mean, and I appreciate that they're spread out, because that way it's not like one huge con once a year. It's like, dude, like, Halloween. They've got, like, a very nice thing about cosplay and masquerade stuff going on, and that's going to be on Halloween night. So you can expect some really good costumes there, man. So you got some time to spare, you got some cash to spare, you go and you pick yourself up a ticket, places like Curious Comics and all that downtown, and you get yourself a ticket to IF Con in Victoria over at the Perks Recreation.
So tickets are still available then?
I believe so.
Okay, cool.
So I just wanted to mention that came on my radar this week, and I'm intrigued about it. I'll have to see how I'm sitting for that part of the year, but.
Yeah, me too. I would love to go. Maybe.
I believe tickets will likely be available for a little ways yet.
Maybe if the organizers happen to be listening to this podcast right now, we would love a ticket. We can cover your convention in the podcast sense.
But here's the thing for you too. I mean, not certain as to whether or not to go. They're going to have the original Wednesday Addams there.
The original from the
black
TV
and white
show.
And the guy who played Cousin It is going to be there.
Cousin It and Wednesday Addams?
I know, it's almost like a reunion.
Take my money.
I don't believe John Astin will be there because he has passed on. Although it is like an Addams Family thing, so if you can expect them to pass on and still make an attendance, it'd be an Addams Family thing.
He could come in hologram form like...
Ooh. I don't care who he comes in like, man, as long as he's a hologram. Oh, now I can only imagine John Astin dancing his way in there.
Yeah.
Which is still pretty cool, but yeah. They got lots of good celebrities, local authors. Nice. I've seen some of the exhibits from the artists that they've got in there. These are some good artists, man. These aren't hacks. These are the primo guys.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Not that the people that go to Godicon or anything are like hacks. They're good people too.
Godicon is dead to us. We have a new convention now.
It's at Perks, which is closer to where I live, so I support it even more. Ha ha ha.
No, it's really awesome. Like Victoria, kick ass or kick butt.
Well, I mean, it's big enough that we can have two conventions. Yes.
Hooray! Did I told you about the toy convention that I went to at Perks too, right?
Oh, yes.
That was a couple weeks ago.
They got some really nice stuff at those toy conventions. But that's not a once a year thing. They wind up doing that, I think, seasonally, I believe.
Okay, yeah. So that can come up again soon. But yeah, that's
Perks. Keep an eye out there. I mean, they're always doing fun stuff in the future. And if they're not doing fun stuff at the convention, I mean, just, get yourself some time on the ice rink there, man. Come on, what's wrong? You too good for ice skating? No one's too good for ice skating. Or at least watching people ice skate. It's kind of a relaxing, thing to do.
I own a pair of skates that I have used one time, I think.
In that case, when Zoe gets old enough to give her a try on the ice, I think maybe you can come and join us.
Maybe I can come along with you guys?
Yeah.
And skate a bit, sure.
Hopefully you can skate at least as well as I can. I'm doing much better than in my youth. I was a horrible skater when I was young. But I can stay up and I can go all the way around the rink and I can do I can't do any fun tricks on there, but I'm getting better every time I go.
I can skate backwards.
That's better than me. I could probably skate a little faster, but I want to keep close to my wife because she still has a hard time. They don't have very many skating rinks in the Philippines.
Yeah, they're really missing out.
For some reason, they don't have a lot of time of the year when the water freezes over and you can just skate on the the lake ice. Something about being just north of the equator. I don't know.
Do they? I'm curious. Do they even have one? Like, is in Manila or the capital?
They probably do have them in the cities.
Maybe
that.
One skating rink in the whole.
No, they probably have a little bit more than that.
Do you think?
Yeah.
Do you think they would?
Well, yeah. I mean, the professional skaters got to do their stuff, and you can't just tailor it to them. It's a nice little like laser tag. I mean, do you think there might be a laser tag here in Victoria?
But in a country where it's unheard of, why I don't know why they would even think to build a skating rink. Because
it's like, oh, it's so nice and cool here. It's like the heat waves here in Victoria are nothing compared to the heat waves in the Philippines. So you can sell that as a reason to go ice skating. It's like, hey, it's cold here, and we don't charge you by the hour.
I don't know. I am doubtful that there's even one, but I'd be happy to...
I'm fairly certain Google can prove otherwise.
Maybe we can Google Maps it.
But yeah, I'm pretty certain, well, at least in the big cities, Luzon City, Manila and all that, they should have at least one.
Okay.
Probably one per neighborhood, I'm willing
One per neighborhood.
Well, per good neighborhood. Great neighborhoods probably have like two, where like the higher class people live. They have a lot more free time for doing these leisure activities. Probably more than one there.
Yeah, well, yeah, in cities where there are at least
big
some people
affluential
who have money.
too.
Yeah, sure.
Plus, I mean, every nation's got to gotta have that option to support like the Winter Olympics. So it's like, hey, I'm a rich, well-to-do person. What am I going to do with my child's spare time? She will become an ice skater, and she'll be good enough to go to the Olympics.
I mean, I guess Jamaica has a bobsled team, but
so yeah.
I don't think it's true that every nation has to get in on.
You don't have to get on
Olympics.
everyone, but I mean, if you're like one of the only professional quality skaters in the country, you're almost a shoo-in for the Olympics. If they're going to do the thing for like, oh hey, like the Olympic, like figure skating team. Well,
I guess, yeah.
I mean, not everybody, can just run around for the summer sports everywhere.
Well, I mean, that's how I guess in the movie Cool Runnings. For the bobsled team, they just took the runners. They took the people already doing summer Olympic events.
That didn't make it in.
And then what are we going to do for the other 2 years? Well, besides train and, do all the things that you have to do to become a professional runner. But yeah, they're like, okay, well, let's do this other sport. So some people, I guess, can compete in multiple seasonal sports, I guess.
If there's a good crossover amount, then yeah, I believe you can.
Yep.
So yes. Long story short, Perks Recreation has got lots of fun stuff, but particularly this year at Halloween.
So yeah, we're getting IF Con.
Woo!
Nice. What if or IF.
I mean, I'm a little enthused about like the screenings for some of the movies, because one, I like to support local talent, and two, it looks like they got a nice mix of kind of comedy, kind of horror stuff that I really do appreciate. So it's like, I think you guys made the movie for me, and people like me, so I will enjoy watching it. So maybe if I, I can find some way to get in, even if I'm like working on the 2 days, or maybe sneak in after work, catch that movie, watch the screening and enjoy it. See if I can't do that. Otherwise, let's work a little from the broader sense into a more specific sense. What have you been doing in fiction this week, Josh?
Okay. Well, I don't know if I'll be able to do much. I mean, I did play Minecraft.
Anything spectacular in there?
I think I basically just I built a chicken enclosure.
In the Nether or just in the regular?
No, just in the real world.
Over by your quarry area.
My new near where I'm mining all the stained clay. I have a double chest full of every color of clay now.
Ooh, very nice.
Which now I have to somehow transport back to my main area. So I'm trying to mine up some iron to build enough railroad tracks. Yeah.
That's one of the reasons I'm liking the mods I've got in there. I'm advanced enough in them. I can generate slowly but steadily. I can generate an infinite number of iron.
Mm-hmm.
That said, I'm working more on lights right now, so it's like it doesn't really matter to me. Oh well.
Yep. But I didn't actually play that much of it. I guess like what I've been into lately. I don't know if it counts as fiction because I've been watching a lot of like stand-up comedy on like YouTube and stuff and trying
stand-up comedy, some of the best fiction, I believe.
Well, the people, I mean, they tell stories in it. It's very narratively structured.
And a story is
like
the quintessence of fiction.
Yeah, I think so. So I've been sort of immersing myself in
how to tell a story.
How to do stand-up and how that world works. I did an open mic on Thursday again.
Well, if I may make a suggestion here, you happen to have some video recording equipment. You happen to have some audio recording equipment, correct?
I do, yeah.
We're talking into two of them right now.
Yeah.
Find Stuart McLean. He does the wonderful stuff over on the CBC radio.
Oh, yeah, the Vinyl Cafe. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and so he has a way of speaking that draws a person in. Pay attention to stuff like that. Find how other people speak when they're doing just an audio thing, and try it out for yourself. Maybe become the next great, audio novelist. I
think we could probably make that happen.
You've got the tools. Do you have the talent?
Well, I'm working on it, and that's, I mean...
That's more than most people can ever be asked to do.
I don't know if I'm, like, talking too much about like what goes into making a podcast, but like the reason I started taking improv classes is this is like almost a year, 2 years now ago that I first took one, and the reason that I attempted to do stand-up and stuff is because I'm trying to get better at what I'm doing right now, is sort of, which I guess it doesn't sound like I'm doing that. I don't know about how good it sounds, but yeah, I'm trying to improve at this whole idea of communication. And
well, I congratulate you on trying to improve. Most people go through their entire lives without even giving a thought as to how they're communicating.
Yeah.
So I think it's very nice that you are giving that added effort into becoming better in any sense.
Yeah, but I mean, in some ways I don't know how much it's translating as much as I sort of hoped when I started, but at the same time what I am learning is like, oh, there's this like stand-up is a whole world, and it's like I'm just getting introduced a little bit more than I was before, because I knew about podcasts. I knew other people, you know, I listened to a lot of podcasts before, but I wasn't as into and aware of sort of another world, another layer of stand-up comedy that's sort of like its own little community. And it's like, you know, people who all kind of know each other, and it's very friendly. They're very open and welcoming to other...
Well, I think they should be friendly if they're comedians. It'd be kind of harsh if, like, behind the scenes they're all bitter and resentful people.
There is bitter and resentful people, but at the same time, they're also, like...
They can be comedically bitter, though, right?
It's weird because they're willing to talk to almost anybody. Like, they're willing, and especially at, like, other... like if I show up to a thing and I'm like also doing comedy, and that seems to automatically, like, people open up to you. They're like, oh, hey, another comic, and hey, how you doing?
Well, I think if nothing else, it validates their existence a little bit more. It's like, hey, this guy wants to come in and try what we're doing, man. It's like, hey, this guy thinks what we're doing is good enough to try. He wants to try and get in on it.
Actually, well, that's a good point about
Could you imagine
almost any human interaction, is that yes, there's a thing where, oh, they're letting you in, but also it's like, oh, hey, this person wants to come join us. Yay. So and that's the whole game theory thing. It's like, you know, we're working together on this. We're, you know.
Yeah. But here's the thing. Could you imagine if you were in a field where nobody tried to enter? It was such a despised field. The only people that are in it are the only people that will ever be in it again. Like, no one new wants to go in. Whoa. Then you start feeling like, am I doing something wrong? Like, should I even be in this field if no one else is coming into it? So by you showing up and expressing an interest, you are very much validating their choices into what they have been. So congratulations.
Well, I also worry about that sometimes too, because there is this little world of entertainment where people may work at it for a long time, like a lifetime, and not have much to show for it at the end of it. And you
can say that for a lot of works of life, though.
Yeah. And, well, I guess, I was going to say something like that. Like, almost any profession that I've looked into, oh, hey, I might want to do that, I might want to do that. You know, there's always gatekeepers. There's, like, every job you say you want to do.
Damn them gatekeepers keeping you from doing whatever you want
all
the
time. There is always somebody saying, oh, don't do that. That's, you know, you'll never make money doing that. Like, there's no profession where it's like, oh, of course, that's the easiest thing in the world. You know, just show up and they dump money on you.
Nothing good in life is easy, and nothing easy in life is good.
Yeah.
Think about it. So yeah, that's why there are people naysaying it all the time. Also, some people are just bitter and they're willing to, you know, dump all over everyone else's dreams.
Well, that's true. And sometimes I get bitter and cynical and think, oh, you know, the world, like, you know, what's the point and stuff like that. I mean, I have those. I get those days.
I think you have to be inhuman not to have a day like that time and again.
Yeah, but yeah, it's all good. Yeah.
Dig it.
Yeah, that's what I've been up to. Getting deeper into that world.
Dig it.
How about you? What have you been simulating? Or
well, let's see. I saw the season finale for Flash for season 1.
Oh yeah, Flash ended. Okay.
On a high note.
A lot of shows.
I want to watch more. As soon as season 2's there, my butt is on that couch. I am watching it, man.
Yeah.
But that said, I mean, on Tuesdays I would watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and The Flash, not in that order, but I'd watch them and it'd be like 2 hours.
Which order?
It was The Flash comes first, and then
Flash and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Okay.
And it's like, now that they're both over for the summer, I'm like, what do I do now? Sure, I can spend an hour more a week with my daughter, and that's yay!
Sure, you
but
could.
But where am I getting my added fiction fix in here? Where's it? Like, and so it's like, well, like, I guess I'll sit down, or check things out next Tuesday and see what's on in their place, but chances are it won't be something that appeals to me, so I'm going to have to start journeying again and figure out what to do.
And you can't listen to The Simulationist because you've already heard it.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I guess I could start all over at the beginning again.
You might.
See how I've improved.
Yeah.
Or, maybe I'll just open that up for like a free time. It's like, I have the entire Evil Dead trilogy, and it's been a while since I saw it. Maybe I should watch one movie a week then. Now that I've got a library card and they've got all sorts of stuff, oh, geez, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Although I am thinking about maybe seeing, trying to give a watch of Game of Thrones with my wife. After the kids gone to bed, of course.
Yeah, starting from season 1?
Well, I don't want to start.
You haven't seen any of it, right?
No, I've been holding off on that just because the production values seem good, high quality.
Yes, yeah, it is, definitely.
And I would like to give it a solid shot, and I believe my wife might enjoy it as well. So I'd like to have her, at least watch an episode or two with me. If it's not her thing, she doesn't need to keep watching. But maybe I pick it up myself and just watch it all, just shotgun it down and wait for the next season and shotgun that down.
Well, I can tell you I really enjoyed it. I think I watched up to season 3, and then I just haven't got around to... What, are we on 6? Did we just do...
I think they're doing 6 now, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't got around to the last couple seasons, but...
Maybe I should give this Community TV series a shot. I keep hearing about.
And I keep telling you, you have to try Other Space.
I have to find a way to see Other Space. Right now,
yeah.
the YouTube is only, and YouTube's doing nothing official on it.
Yeah,
Yahoo
it's on
is
Yahoo
only supposed to be through the America, and not just North America. Although the bit over on the Wikipedia says it is expected to open up into further areas as time goes on.
Okay.
Bit of bad news. They haven't yet requested an order for a second season yet. So things are still up in the air as to whether or not it'll make it.
I mean, I hope they do.
Good reviews, I've been told. So
Have you also seen? Did you ever see Space Janitors?
No.
It's on.
I've seen Space Janitors in several games, but
no, it's a show called Space Janitors. It's on the Geek and Sundry channel. I have if you go to our YouTube channel for the show, we're subscribed to, I think you can find what we're subscribed to, or it might be in our favorites. But anyways, just look up Space Janitors on YouTube for the listeners. And it's a web series. It's fairly short. It's a spoof of Star Wars a little bit. And it's pretty funny. I think they're just 10-minute episodes. I think there's maybe one season of them, so there's not a lot to watch. You could watch it all in one sitting.
Ooh, yeah, that's it. Maybe I could just shotgun down the rest of that Mars quest I'm slowly working myself through.
There's another one, yeah.
So yeah, there's options aplenty, but as to where I want to devote myself, I'm still undecided. So that's a nice little void in my life.
We should get our listeners to write in. I mean, hey, you can listeners, you're always welcome to write in, thesimulationist at gmail.com. Give Ryan a recommendation for what he should watch next.
And don't put hentai. I mean, no, that's not needed. Come on, keep things interesting. Unless there's one that has a really good story associated with it, in which case, I guess I'll let it slide. I'm a sucker for story wherever I can find it. So.
Okay, and you mentioned the library, and can we just give a quick plug that if you go to the Victoria, our library,
yes,
they have an option now where you can log into their site and you can actually stream videos.
Yes.
Not all of them work. It's not the best service yet, but they're
working on it. It's a very interesting thing that they're doing.
I do suggest logging in, and you might see something you want to watch.
If you're not, in Victoria, you may want to see what your local library has set up.
Yeah, I was going to say that too. Yeah, everybody has a library in their city, and I think libraries
even down to towns,
and
the towns might be associated with a nearby bigger city for that sort of thing. So give it a shot. See how it goes. Yeah. Well, a lot of libraries are interconnected, so maybe what we're talking is like connected up to all of them altogether. So that would be kind of groovy.
Have you thought about getting Crave TV?
I've been thinking about it, but even at $4 a month, I could spend that on toys for my daughter.
Now, do you have Netflix or no?
No, okay. I've been holding off on that for. I fear the depths of what I might fall into. It's like, oh no, I want to watch everything this month.
Yeah. So the library is very almost the same thing, but it's free
and a little bit more educational, likely.
Yeah.
The better chance of finding a documentary with them.
Yeah.
Although that said, I have been going through like a lot of the backlog of like files I've stored here and there, and I have found some public domain movies I've downloaded that I haven't had a chance to watch. Mm-hmm. The infamous Reefer Madness is currently public domain, and I've got that. Good. So I was like, yeah, maybe I'll give that a shot, and maybe. I don't even think you need to be stoned at this point to watch it and laugh your
I was going to say you don't usually get high.
I don't think you need to realize how ridiculous this is. I mean, this is like pure propaganda for idiocy. So I mean, I can enjoy that. I've got the old movie Haxon, the 20s movie.
Did you see that the guys who made the Gamers Darkness Rising, the Gamers and the Gamers 2 Darkness Rising, also I don't know if they finished it, but they were making the Chick Tracks Dark Dungeons.
I believe I heard that. I haven't seen it myself.
Okay.
But yeah, there's a lot of options for me these days. So, things to do. First thing to do is figure out what to do.
Oh, what a problem! What a first world problem.
Well, that's the thing. Maybe I'll just play more video games. I mean, I'm really digging the Secret World. I spent the 1,200 bonus points I got on issue 6. The Last Train to Cairo. And I finished the whole thing. It's one long, super adventure plot arc about trying to stop another bomb from going off and defeating the bad guy from, what's going on in Egypt. I enjoyed it. Some parts were rather hard. There's some parts where you gotta sneak around, and if you get caught by the bad guys, they are so far above your pay grade, effectively, you are dead. So it's like, I didn't have fun with that, because sometimes it's like, I just kind of want to sneak across the wall behind all these big stacks of storage dates that they've got there, and it's like I can't make it past here. Why is my character not moving? And it's like, oh, now I gotta try and run, and it didn't work out as well as I had hoped. I died. So dying is never fun. But once I got past that part, there's bits where, oh no, I no longer have my magical bee powers, because that's how I got my powers. A bee went in my mouth and I gained magic powers. It happens.
A bee went in my mouth and bit my bottom.
Now my
bottom's big.
Now my magic's big. But yeah, that gets gassed out of me for a short term, not a permanent thing. So to defeat the guys, I have to fight them, fist on arm in arm, left, right, left, boom, 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 knock them down. I found that one to be very fun. The guards that were previously unassailable, I had no chance of beating them. All I have to do is watch when they're putting down their guard, and bam, crack them there, knock them down, and then wind up for the big one. When they get back up, crack them hard. And I really did enjoy that part of the whole thing. Then next thing you know, I find myself on a train. Or rather, I'm trying to catch up to a train that's got effectively a magical nuke on it. There is a crazy, I guess he's a bit of a militiaman. They're called the Maria. And they're the descendants of the people that rose up to help King Tut defeat the big bad Black Pharaoh way back in the day. And so this guy's crazy. He's watched way too many American, movies and all that. And he's going nuts. And he's the one driving. And meanwhile, I've got like a 3,000-year-old mummy with me, helping me out because he's the guy who helped out before and got all the problems happening. So he's trying to atone for his misdeeds. Yeah. And I hop onto the train at the last moment as they brake just before the vehicle smashes into a rock face. And then I'm fighting guards on the top of a train, and I'm fighting a guy. He's launching missiles at me. He's got himself a rocket launcher. And I'm dodging the rockets on the train as I'm going up, and I'm defeating them. And I really did enjoy the whole story arc. And in the end, I got enough credit points from a special currency. I bought myself an Indiana Jones style hat. So it's like, yay! And I got
all
a sweet
adventure, and all you got was this.
Well,
cool hat.
I did get a nice, sweet purple epic, trinket to wear. It's pretty good stuff. But I really am proud of getting a nice hat. It is the least ridiculous hat my character has to wear. I've got a pumpkin head, like a like a face made out of other people's faces,
Ooh.
a Rocketeer helmet, and a couple ball caps. So you get an Indiana Jones hat, something that looks pretty decent on me. Hey, hooray!
So it's kind of like your hat in real life a little bit.
Yes, and that's one of the reasons I like it. So, yay! But if I keep doing it, and I keep running through, it's effectively a daily mission. It expires after every 17 hours. I can redo the missions.
Right.
And they're just little missions. So I park myself next to the guy, I pick up the 3 quests, and I go about and I come on back. And I get 6 points out of the whole thing. Whee! But it's effectively dailies. But I'm finding myself, I'm not as happy doing these dailies as I am pursuing the main plot line. And I think I understand why now. Because one of the things that really burned me out on WoW was doing 25 dailies every day, 7 days a week. It's because I don't feel like I'm progressing. I'm stagnating, and I'm just spinning my wheels. I'm not really okay. Sure, hey, congratulations! I get myself a leather jacket or a pair of khaki pants for doing this. Or if I really save up, I could get myself a custom title. So it's like, ooh, a title. Ooh, that's very nice. But it's not like progressing, like, because where I'm supposed to be is deep in the heart of the Transylvanian Alps, fighting werewolves and vampires.
Oh, yeah.
And that's kind of awesome.
Yes, yeah.
And the trinkets they give are better. And the rewards for the quests, monetary-wise, are bigger. And I kind of liked what I was doing. Although, I must admit, some of those quests I was doing where you have to, like do some research, I have to go to a site that gives me the answer, like one of those cheating sites they got, or I have to learn Hungarian. So, yeah, I just went to the quick cheating site because I didn't feel like learning Hungarian while playing a video game.
So, wait, like you as a player have to learn Hungarian?
If I was going to read the notes that were left behind to try and figure out what happened for this murder case, I think it was either Hungarian or Romanian. I'm not certain what language it was. It was so far away from anything I've learned before. It's like, I think I can get some of the words.
It was Transylvanian, of course.
It was a real language. People have translated it out, so I was able to get the answers.
Was it in the Latin alphabet or the Cyrillic alphabet? It
was Latin,
okay.
The alphabet. Yeah, which is interesting because I also did a quest that involved, it was called All Roads Lead to Rome, and it was like dealing with like the what the Roman people were doing in Londinium, like so many thousand years ago.
Okay. And
I actually had an easier time reading the clues in Latin and figuring out what they meant. Huh. Because, I speak English, so, Latin derivative. Yeah. And, I got a degree in biology, and that gets you a lot of Latin in your vocabulary.
True. Yeah, all right.
So I had a much easier time doing the quest with Latin than I did with the quest, going with the Slavic languages. C'est la vie. I learned when to admit defeat. It's like, I'm not translating this paragraph. I'm going to enter in the name of this quest into Google, and I'm going to see if I can find a site that'll help me get an answer.
Well, I've noticed, I learned the sounds that the Russian alphabet makes, the Cyrillic alphabet, and I've noticed that a lot of words that I see, the ones that, occur from time to time, will often also be Latin derived in Russian and stuff, so...
well, apparently whatever this was, there was no words I was seeing, and the very base word particles did not connect with me. So it's like, Google, solve my problem. I'm big enough to admit when I'm not big enough to solve a problem.
Sure.
So that's a lesson I learned in fiction this last week.
Yeah, good lesson.
Still going through the Teen Titans episodes with my daughter. She's loving it, and I'm enjoying it thoroughly. Just watching her, she's having fun. Like, did you see the TV series back in the day?
Well, I watched it usually when I was over at your place with.
Yeah. Adam and I were pretty. Adam got me into it too, so I was like, eventually Zoe's going to have to thank her Uncle Adam for about Teen Titans.
Yeah.
But there's one thing in the very beginning where they're showing off like the various characters, and she has words that she says every time she sees those characters. Like, Raven pops in on the screen, she's like, ooh, spooky. And Beast Boy changes into a pterodactyl, she's like, funny. And then Starfire comes out and goes, Starfire, boom, 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 because she's shooting off, like, whatever energy blasts come out of her hands.
Oh, yeah.
And
Did I tell you she was doing magic for me? Just, like I came over, like you weren't here.
I was finishing up at work tonight. Yeah.
At work, so I was here earlier than you were, and she was putting on like a little magic show. She had a little table out with like a ball and like a red cup thing.
Yes.
And then she said she like uncovered it, and she said, "Oh, there's a mouse." So it was an imaginary mouse, but she made a mouse appear.
Oh, very nice.
So
that would be thanks to the magician Mumbo Jumbo that's really gotten her interest lately.
Yeah.
So yeah, Teen Titans flows back again. But there's one scene where Cyborg comes in and he like jumps up at the screen and he like punches, and she gets ready and smash, and she times it exactly when he's throwing that fist into the screen on the screen, and she's really big on seeing Cyborg smash.
Does she have a favorite character? Is like Cyborg your favorite?
Well, the first one she learned was Robin. So when he jumps down the screen, she's like, "Hi, Robin." So like apparently,
what's up?
she's pretty friendly with Robin. He jumps down, she does Robin. She's like, "Hi, Robin." And then he gives a gritty face and go, "Robin, angry."
Yeah.
So like I think though she does get most laughs out of Beast Boy doing his funny little thing. He is the comedic relief of the team, and she's chuckled a lot at him. So even if he was one of the last persons for her to get the name, and she still calls him B-Boy, I think that it might wind up being the. She does know Cyborg pretty well for his smashing though. So
okay.
I'll let her. We'll work ourselves through season 4 and see what captures her interest.
Just give her an exam at the end of it, and like, what was your favorite character? What was an intriguing use of their power? How would you use your power if given that ability?
I wouldn't do it as a written thing, but I was like, who's your favorite Teen Titan? Who do you like most? Do you like Raven? Well, I mean, heck, Raven's the voice actress for Raven's the same one who does like the My Little Pony one. Yeah. And she's big on the My Little Ponies, so it might be interesting to see if I can play them back to back if she gets the voice.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
You could well, if you wanted, you could record the conversation and send it into the show creators and say, "Okay, got some notes for you guys."
Well, Teen Titans Go is aimed at a younger audience.
Yeah.
She does seem to like the episodes I've shown her of Teen Titans Go, so but then again, everyone's as comedic as Beast Boy is in that series,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think I present. Okay, what's your favorite? Who's your favorite Teen Titan? And it's like, okay, what's he do? And see what powers he or she uses, and then also like if that's the one she brings up, that's the one that caught her eye. That's the most inventive use of that power. So yeah, I'll probably subtly quiz her and see how she likes her preferences, because that's kind of one of the things about being a parent. Is if you want to be a good parent, you got to study your kids, learn what they like, and help them indulge in that. Provided it's a positive thing. If your kid likes poking around at, say, electrical outlets, don't encourage that. Thinking they'll wind up growing up to become an electrician. No, they grow up to become Sparky.
That's been your parenting tip, episode 142.
Well, at least my parenting tip. Other than that, I've been doing a lot of reading as to like the new stuff going up in Dwarf Fortress. Very interesting thing. Culture's finally coming into play again.
Okay.
And he's talking about like how poets are going to be like, because some people will like just go to a tavern because that's going to be a new structure. You're going to like, instead of just have a generic meeting room, you're going to have a tavern where people go and get drunk. But not everyone's going to go there to get drunk. Some people are going to go there and recite poetry. They're going to either poetry of their own design or poetry that that they bought from a caravan, sort of thing.
What about stand-up comedy?
I believe that might be something we can at least work in.
Yeah.
Comedian is a skill within the game.
Oh, nice.
It's been around for a while. It's used to help placate people.
Mm-hmm.
One of the social skills that helps determine who's a mayor too. High comedian skills, you're a mayor.
Oh, I like that. Yeah. Just like that guy in Iceland.
Well, it depends who you talk to about politics, and a lot of mayors are pretty good comedians.
Yeah, but no, the guy in Iceland literally was a stand-up comic who, I think he put his name on it as a joke, and then he won, and then.
Welcome to Iceland. It's like you got to live up to your responsibilities, dude.
And what did he promise everybody? He promised everybody something like a free chicken, or I don't think it was a chicken. It was something stupid, and then he became the mayor.
Chickens aren't stupid, yeah.
And then he's like. Well, it was something gaggy, like a chicken, or maybe even a rubber chicken or something. A free rubber chicken if I become, and then he became them, and he's like, yeah, I'm not keeping that promise. Basically, says that right.
But at least he's honest about not keeping
Yeah.
his election promises. Most of them just hum and haw until it's too late.
I don't know. Well, you see,
The process for getting rubber chickens distributed to everybody in the populace requires an interesting amount of infrastructure, and so we're not doing that now, but we are looking at the best route of delivering that to the public. Repeat that line for 3.5 years, and it's like, oh, I'm afraid it's too late. I won't be able to get that done by the time it's out there because of the naysaying obstructors who are part of the city council. That's why you should vote for me again and not them. Welcome to politics.
Yeah.
But yeah, so some people are going to wind up actually having a job to look at copy and transcribe works and all that. But they don't want to have issues where people who want to read poetry don't conflict with people whose job is to be a poet.
Okay.
So yeah, it's an interesting thing he's working out there.
Like
so
that.
anyone who wants to just go to the bar and read poetry to anyone who wants to listen can do that.
Yeah.
But there will be temple dancers who will do religious dances for their various temples.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, I'm kind of digging see what sort of dances is going to happen in a dwarven temple. I mean, this intrigues me. I want to see, what does a dwarven temple dance look like? Yeah, this spurs your imagination just thinking about it.
In Dwarf Fortress,
Yes.
the men and women dwarfs are distributed equally, right? There's 50-50?
In theory, yes.
Yeah. And also in
you could put all the guys into militia groups that wind up getting killed and then have a very big surplus in the female end of the population.
Yeah, and now also in Dwarf Fortress, the females don't have beards. Is that right?
They do not have beards, but the code for beards is just lacking brackets. All you have to do is go to the right file for entity creatures and.
Yeah, all you have to do is hack your game.
You don't even need to hack the game, really. It's just you find one of the raw files that covers what dwarves are like, and then just add those brackets in. Bam, they've got beards.
Okay. I guess, yeah, I think I've said before that I kind of, in my imagination, dwarven women can have beards.
I was of that philosophy myself until I started reading up on the Littlest Cheesemaker, which is something they've done in the storytelling
I have
forms.
linked to it before, but I will also put it in this show's episode's notes.
And the character Misty is just such a compelling character. She's really the story has really changed how I perceive dwarves, especially stuff like cheesemakers and migrants into the fortress. Mm-hmm. And because of that, and she doesn't have a beard, and that's how I picture female dwarves now. They do not have beards. Although they do wear an awful lot of toques and mittens, which is kind of a thing in my head now. So it's
Because hands are hard to draw.
Well, hands are hard to draw, and dwarves like wearing clothing. So mittens, if you can make an infinite number of mittens dyed with blue dimple dye, blue mittens for everyone.
Okay.
Plus, technically in a fight, they will help, save, from nerve damage. It'll actually, weapons will glance off if if the weapon's poor enough or if your skills are high enough. Mm-hmm. A standard cloth fiber will help deflect this sort of thing.
Okay.
So it pays to have your dwarves. Where also, with the horrible diseases that Forgotten Beasts will bring in, if it touches your dwarf, they can get poisoned. But if it's on their mittens, no poisoning.
Okay.
Hooray! It can keep your dwarves alive.
Well, and that's another parenting tip.
Mittens will keep you alive when you're touching the various residues of the forgotten beasts of the depths of the world.
Now, let me ask you this. If you're sticking your finger in a socket, do you want to have a mitten or no mitten?
Can the mitten be made out of a plastic or a rubber?
It's nylon.
Oh. Yeah, I would rather have the nylon as opposed to a bare finger.
I guess.
Just the slightly increased amount of resistance.
I guess, and surface area, I don't know if that helps or not.
I'm just going to go for the added resistance. Any amount of added resistance to prevent the electrical, thing from coursing through.
From directly to your skin, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, of course, mind you, that said, if you're really sticking your finger in there and you wind up, electrocuting yourself, you're probably going to melting that part of the mitten onto your finger. That's going to mean hard healing, possibly skin grafts. So, lesser chances, but greater punishment? I think I'll take it. Yeah.
You'll take the mitten.
I'll take the mitten.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nylon mitten.
Yes.
In this case, just because hypothetically.
Although if I had my choice, it would be like one of those yellow rubber gloves.
Okay. Yeah.
That's gonna help definitely.
Like the dishwashing gloves.
Yeah.
Like that kind. Yeah.
So yeah, that's my vote. So yes, other than that, I mean, I did pick up another book this week. I was downtown. I was looking for some Apology chocolates. Long story short, I bought Apology chocolates.
Okay, I don't suppose we need to hear that. I don't know.
I was late
story.
picking up my daughter once because I took some medication on my day off, and then I sat down to let it kick in, and then I woke up late for picking her up. So down there they didn't charge me anything for babysitting her the extra time, but I felt really bad. So on my other day off, I went downtown and got some Apology chocolate.
Okay.
But while I was down there, I went by Illusions, one of my nice, used bookstores. Mm-hmm. They sell hookahs and other paraphernalia, used movies and all that, but I'm really there for the books, because they got some nice out-of-print stuff. And I managed to get the novel for Dragon Dice, which is something TSR put out way back when it was TSR, not Wizards of the Coast.
Way in the early 90s.
I've got several, like ice cream and peanut butter jar containers full of the dice from the game. And yeah, like I had played the game. I know how to play I think I still know how to play the game roughly. But I didn't know why I was playing the game I was playing. And this one is a story of the world it takes place in. So it's like, maybe now I will get some answers as to what the heck is going on here. So yay!
Have you read it yet? Or just
No. I do want to finish off the book I'm currently reading before I go on to that one.
Ooh, I never do that. I never finish a book.
Well, that's the thing. I've got a lot of books to read. A lot.
I have so many books that
I have to start curtailing myself.
A bookmark in like the first 3 chapters.
But here's the thing. I'm using the same bookmark that I've gone through every one of my Dragonlance books with.
Oh, okay.
The bookstore I got it from hasn't existed in well over a decade, but it did get me into reading the fantasy fiction. Yeah, the old books I have up on the shelf just off to my side from the Ian Jackson, the British one, for Choose Your Own Adventure books. Mm-hmm. That's where I first got it in. My parents was like, okay, well, we're going to the neighboring town. It's like a 90-minute drive. We got to keep the kids quiet somehow. Let's go into this used bookstore and see if we can't get a few kids' books for them. And I picked up a Choose Your Own Adventure book, and that started me down the path of nerdity to which I currently am.
That's nice.
And so I like to keep that one thing. I do have another version of that one. It's completely untouched, unspent. So when that bookmark finally bites the dust, I can start all over again. But for now, I like it. I like to know that it's gone through all the books of the standard sized fiction that I've been going through. It's that one.
My bookmarks, like I think I only have a couple of these left because they get lost over the years. But what I used to do as a kid was I used to cut out when the Sunday comics came. Oh. I would cut out the Garfield, like the long Garfield, the long gag, or the first panel.
Yeah.
Of all the Garfield, because I don't know, for some reason I loved Garfield.
All kids love Garfield. He's fairly easy to get. He's kind of like the Hulk. You don't need a lot of cerebral intelligence to understand what's Garfield.
And I always liked, especially those first panels.
Because it was usually a nice image. Perhaps the most cartoonishly imaginative part of Garfield for a very long time.
Yeah.
Not to naysay it. I mean, dude's making money, so he's doing better than us on some scales, but...
I guess we had, I think it's called MacTac. It's the, laminated...
it's the easy lamination
page of tape. It's basically, Scotch tape, but it's a whole page sized. And you can cut it out and you can, put, paper... And you basically laminate your favorite whatever you've made. Yeah,
well, that would be the stuff that you don't need to actually have an iron to work with, right?
Right, I don't think it needed an iron, yeah.
Yeah, that's the advanced stuff. I had to go with the stuff you actually had to get, an iron and...
Yeah. And I don't think that stuff is cheap. I mean, it's probably $1 a sheet or something like that. So, as a kid, that stuff wasn't cheap. But I think we just had it left over from some project, and so I got to use it all. And every Sunday I would make myself a new bookmark from that. So I had a big collection of those.
Very nice.
But yeah, that's... I don't have many of them left, although they're probably all in various books halfway through.
So in that case, before you give any books up to like Goodwill, make sure you pursue through.
Maybe just consider it a bonus for whoever ultimately ends up with the book. I don't know.
But would they appreciate it as much as you with it knowing its history?
They might. Well, like people find, like when I find old things like that, like my imagination just goes wild. Like I don't think stupid. Like whoever did this Garfield thing is an idiot. I don't.
Well, that's the thing. I remember one of the books I picked up from Illusions. Every once in a while, like when they've got like a gaming book, it's like I've never read anything about this game before. I'll pick it up because the price is right. But there's one I remember finding, and there was a somewhat risque photo of a lady.
Oh, nice.
Not like graphic nudity or anything and all that, but it's like woo. This is not
like
something.
A pinup.
Kind of, yeah, that sort of thing. I took it back. It's like, do you know the guy who sold this to you? Because I mean, this is probably means something to either him or the lady who's in this photo would probably want it back.
Yeah,
I don't know what they did with it. They snagged it. It's like I don't want. I don't.
I'll take that.
I don't need it, man. I don't want my wife thinking I'm smuggling smut into this house in the guise of gaming books. That's it. I got a lot of gaming books. That would drive her paranoid, man.
Yeah.
So yeah. Like it's appreciated, but I'm pretty certain it means more to the people involved with it.
Yeah, probably.
Suffice to say, there's some person out there who's playing, hopefully, a decent amount of newer end Games Workshop, Warhammer universe, that's got a lady who enjoys sending him racy photos. So, God bless you. You're living the dream, buddy.
Yeah. If that person is listening right now.
And you are missing that photo. They never gave it to you. You can go hit up Illusions. That was like over 2 years ago now. So it's like I don't even know if they have it anymore, man.
All right. So yeah, Dragon Dice.
Yeah. So I've got the book for it, and it's like, ooh, now I can learn some of the setting, because the setting was a D&D setting in 2nd edition stuff, but it was never touched on more than the Dragon Dice game. It never became like a role-playing game.
So it was set in its own kind of world?
Its own world.
It's not in the Forgotten Realms or like
No.
Greyhawk
They had their own term for the world. I remember reading from the little booklets you got from the dice. Mm-hmm. Very interesting cosmology as it was described, but no, I never learned much more than what they had in the little information packets that were provided. So hey, now's the chance to really dig in and find out what's going on.
Because Wizards of the Coast never really did. I mean, they kind of have hints at a grand unified universe.
Well, that was the Planescape setting.
Yeah, but they never really did like major crossovers or.
They had a few novels where a person goes from like Forgotten Realms to Dragonlance to Forgotten Realms again.
Yeah,
but nothing. I think there's a few of the Planescape ones that do mention the deities, for the various settings and all that, but it is very much its own setting.
Because, like, with a company like Marvel, for example, there is the Marvel Universe, right?
But maybe it's a good thing that they've got them separate, because Marvel right now is having some issues. Is this person, like an Inhuman, or are they a mutant? Because as well as, like, Fox owns the right to mutants.
But I think it's kind of difficult to manage even one company universe, like one in-house universe, right? Like Paizo, they do everything in Galarian, for example, and like that's their universe. They only because it's hard enough keeping that straight, and I can imagine like for TSR being like, we have this.
Yeah,
world,
when they
world,
were putting
world,
everything together, I mean, they had to reverse the Dragonlance where the gods were, Takesis, or was this Tiamat, and so like where she was supposed to be was not the plane that the rest of the cosmos knows it as. She's, on the second layer of the 9 hells. Whereas, according to ask anyone in the on Ansalon, in the Krynnish world, and it's she exists in the abyss. She switched the name just so anyone trying to get to her goes to the wrong place.
Well, and like I
do
enjoy
appreciate
that.
different names for the gods.
And
That's
I
kinda
think,
nice.
I think that's a really big opportunity for the creative people in the company, and be like,
I mean, that's why the planes are the outer planes are so weird.
Yeah.
One guy is like, okay, Gary Gygax wrote all this stuff here. Let's try and put all these planes together in something that makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so idiosyncratically odd for the older editions, for like the planar cosmology. It was like, I'm taking all this stuff and just trying to like settle it into one masterpiece. And it's just try and imagine Michelangelo's David as a jigsaw puzzle. And that's a good way of describing what he had to work with and what he had to do.
Well, I think even Gygax, like when he put his version of the cosmology together, he was like, I want there to be like Native American gods, and there's the happy hunting grounds. I want there to be the Norse gods have a place, and so that was his kind of theory going into it. And then it sort of smoothed out a little bit into sort of a 16-plane like circle. But then other things got added, and then there's like, there's the plane of fairy, and there's the plane of shadow, and those don't really
Demi-plane at the time. It was only a demi-plane of shadow. It didn't get full-fledged until 3rd edition.
Yeah. Some
spots never did make it, its full-end thing. I mean, the plane of wood for a pseudo-elemental plane never really fit in any which way.
Yeah,
the plane of mirrors is still, just like, if you want to use it, go for it. Here's some rules for it, but it's not there, not really.
Yeah. Although, like...
Only recently did the Far Realms manage to have any sort of real cognitive
Well, that's true,
rule.
yeah. They put them into some of the newer editions.
But it goes back to 2nd edition, making mentions of stuff like that, and then it's forgotten about for like a decade before mentioned again, and then it finally gets brought into the, the whole greater plan.
Yeah.
So,
right.
It's a very, very hard thing to work with there. So I can imagine, maybe it might be a good thing to keep things a wee bit separate. That way, you don't have to tread on so many toes.
Sure. Yeah. So and Wizards they have their Magic the Gathering setting,
which never has made it as a pen and paper book, which is such a shame because they've got so many good
really
monsters.
Cool, It's a really
so many amazing
vibrant
spells.
Setting, with awesome characters, and
the cosmology alone works wonderful.
It could work because it's another of these multi-planar settings where it's like, just walk through a door and now you're in another world.
And it's not that far from the Beyond Countless Doorways that Monty Cook did back in the day. And I would like to see a bit more developed into that, more of maybe clusters, more crossovers and whatnot, rather than just here a bunch of planes stuck together like Tinker Toys for their connections.
Yeah,
I want to see things where you can have things like instead of having we'll say the 9 hells be like 9 separate planes, attached to each other somehow, like in a permanent fashion. I want to see how they can do that sort of thing in planar cosmology terms. I want to see all these fun things happening. I think there's a lot of things that could be done with that sort of thing. Because I love the Great Wheel cosmology. I'm not married to it. Like, if I'm doing my own campaign, it doesn't have to work under a Great Wheel cosmology. And I think something like the planes in motion, mixing and bumping and slowly changing as time goes on, that makes for an amazing story for long distances of time and where, legend has, forgotten, it's been so long and all that.
Yeah.
So, I think that's it. I mean, I also do like some of the Spelljammer stuff they had. They had some very interesting rules on creating, a different style, like star systems, effectively. From what I've seen for PDF snippets here and there, they had some very interesting rules.
Yeah. Well, did you ever...
throw it all together in a single splat book and sell it to me, buddy.
When you were younger and you were,
more impressionable.
You had more free time, and you were making worlds, making campaign worlds and stuff like that. Did you ever make worlds with multiple planets? And because I did that, I designed this is a solar system, and there's this is the
technically
number
it's
of
a
planets.
stellar system because it's not the soul.
Oh.
So
I don't.
No one gets that right. Don't worry.
I don't remember what I would have written at age 15, but did you ever do that, with multiple planets?
I mean, I definitely want to, and that's one of the reasons I like the Spelljammer thing so much. Is that it shows hey, you're not the only person thinking this.
Yeah.
This is a very interesting way about going it. I would honestly just be happy with a moon circling around a plane that is just as inhabited.
Yeah, I think that'd be
Although that said, like if I'm making my own cosmology, it won't be like these are planets orbiting, like a sun. It will be something on the back of a turtle, or something like this is like the scrying bowl of the gods, and there's like a little land in the center or something like that. It is not going to be based on real world physics, because one. That way, anyone who complains, they're like, oh, why isn't this more like in the real world? I'm like, dude, you are sitting on the back of a giant turtle flying through space. What do you expect? And that way you can have multiple worlds, just to have it be like a different animal. Like you want like a desert sort of dark sun sort of world. Bam, you've got yourself like a giant five-sided crab with like flaming pincers.
Ooh.
And each one of the pincers represents a sun, and it's always moving itself in such a way that there's never more than, anything more, there's never any less than one sun up in the sky. And that's how bad it is. You got, like, you're bad because there's a heat wave. Man, they got 4 suns up there right now.
Mm.
Beat that. Oh, by the way, no vampires in this campaign. They got hurt bad. So yeah. I mean, that's a cosmology building alone. Oh, we'll put a pin in that one. We'll come back to that and fun things to do, and maybe we'll work that as like a nice project for ourselves. We'll sit down and we'll work that as our main topic: is create a cosmology that's new and unique.
That'd be fun.
So, okay, that's a pin in that one. We'll come back to that one day. But you mentioned something before the podcast about concept of like living up to like these heroic ideals that heroes tend to get put under.
Yeah, I guess like how I would ask a question, or sort of an essay question, is like how similar do you have to be? Are you a carbon copy of your role model or your hero, or like how closely do you emulate them? And are you just is it just the fact that humans only live so long, so heroes in essence have to recreate themselves? Or is there something else going on? Is like at each generation of hero like a new thing?
Well, that's an interesting thing I noticed about 5th edition was like, what's up with humans? Like, what's their special thing? And their special thing wasn't like people; it was institutions.
Okay.
So like with the dwarves and the elves, they live for so long. Their cause, like, can be devoted. Their cause of passion, we'll call it a cult of personality. It will only last as long as that centerpiece is there. But because the elves live 700 years, that's like a 500-year, reforestation effort into the Great Desert. And maybe that's all you really need. Humans don't have 500 years of life. So what they do is they would have the one person, the big hero that starts it. They're Johnny Appleseed, we'll say. Mm-hmm. And then other people pick up the cause, and before you know it, it becomes its own institution. Like a druidic circle that winds up going. Even after the first guy is gone, Johnny Appleseed dies of old age, the cause still lives on. And that's how they're... That's one thing I really dug, because it's like, humans are kind of like, like almost like an insect thing. The one doesn't matter, only the ripples it makes that cause the others to move in a certain way.
It's interesting. Whoa. Yeah.
Because, I mean, you don't expect humans to be like, oh, yeah, they've got some sort of weird thing where, like, they have a way of living on after death. It's like, no, that's the institution policy going on for humans. That's what makes them so formidable. They don't live as long as the other great races, but they still manage to get the things done, because they can inspire others even after the death.
Yeah.
In which case, so would you, in this case, state that the hero being just the one person, or the hero being the core of a cause, should we focus with?
I think that's a reasonable way to look at it. I don't know if that's the way that all fiction... Because there is sometimes a focus in fiction on the hero as being very much his own self-contained... Well, and maybe stories are about transcending that somehow. But a hero is very much like, a powerful character that's like...
But here's the thing, is right? I've also been told the one thing that makes a hero notable as a hero is they are alone, surrounded by other people. They are still alone because there is only them as them, whereas everyone else is like a peasant is the same as 1,000 other peasants. You're a peasant, buddy, but the hero is a unique.
Yeah, but
until you wind up getting enough people imitating them that they wind up forming an organization, and all of a sudden you got like a paladin's brotherhood where every paladin is aspiring to be that one paladin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the hero no longer becomes unique, but the institution is like them plus.
Yeah, and then I guess the hero is like a symbol for a bigger thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what the cause believes in. You want to be, like a great person like this person, and try and imitate them.
But now, if you join this paladin organization, like, this is a weird thing about it.
Being a player, especially, yeah.
Well, yeah, sure, being a player or something, like, you're a young, like, farm boy or something who gets picked up, or your parents send you off to join this thing.
We ain't got enough land for you to farm. You're becoming a paladin.
And you join it, and they teach you, like, a repertoire of skills. They're like, okay, you're going to learn horseback riding, you're going to learn sword play, you're going to learn how to carry this 50 pounds of armor up a hill both ways.
And you're going to learn how to talk polite amongst people, too.
Yeah, and you're going to use which fork to use.
Both in combat and out of combat. As a paladin, you got to be prepared.
So I guess there's a rational way of recreating, because here's the thing, the guy who formed that paladin organization, he didn't have all that. Like, he didn't have, like, he just sort of figured it out as he went, and he's like, well, I guess...
Or he learned the lessons from various other things. He had a mentor here, a mentor there,
Yeah.
A combat mentor, an etiquette mentor, a horseback, rider. Like, he found the greatest plainsman rider of all the steppes, and he learned from him.
Yeah. Well, so there can be a chain of mentors, but it's funny because each mentor is like it's like a winding path through the mentors. It's
a sub-mentor, not one person for teaching you everything like the organization winds up becoming, but one person who teaches you each individual skill.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, if it's an academy or a school, then you have like instructors and various, and that's the idea.
Harry Potter-like teachers.
And that wasn't, like, in society, that had to be invented, too, the idea of a school, because it's sort of in tribal society.
What if we had professionals teaching people instead of all these amateurs?
Yeah, it was just you learn from your dad. Your dad and your uncles, basically.
Your dad smith tin, you're going to smith tin, your child will smith tin.
But then it's like you gather all of these experts together and then throw the children in there. And
it seems like smithing most of these metals is pretty much synonymous either which way you go. As long as you learn a few little tricks here and there. What if we just had a smith who taught, who could work with almost any metal? But you got to get the really trustworthy ones to work with the expensive stuff like silver and gold.
And that's where Mr. Smith came in.
Bam!
Although, for some reason, Mr. Smith was my gym teacher, not my smithy teacher. He didn't teach smithing at all.
That's only because of the incredible lack of smithing being taught in Canadian public schools.
Yeah, there was metal shop. I didn't take metal shop, but...
I took metal shop. I made some really nice stuff. My dad is still using the stuff I made in metal shop.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. Maybe I should have gone into metal as like a professional thing. I did good work.
Is there a bit of dilution though? Because this is a problem that I think we still have, even like talking modern days. But even
the people who imitate the hero wind up being not as good. They're a pale imitation of the hero. The skills aren't as heroically refined as the hero's skills themselves.
I was thinking if you have like 10 different teachers, like you see 5 different people in a day, each teaching you different lessons. Do you not connect with them as well as if you had like one hero mentor who you could really truly look up to?
Maybe it's the best you don't have it, because sometimes being a part of being a mentor is being like the nemesis.
Yeah.
You've got to make them rise to the challenge, so you must present the challenge. So you're not going to be a good mentor to somebody if you just let them do whatever they want and don't force them to try to do better, be more than they are. A mentor is part nemesis.
Sure, yeah.
So maybe it's best that you split off with a few people. It's not just the one mentor. Because if you had to deal with the same guy that's like constantly pushing at you 12 hours a day, you're going to get a little fed up with him, and things are going to go from, what a great mentor, to, I just want to just smack this guy sometimes.
Yeah.
But he is so much better at combat than me, I would only get hurt in the process. So it's like, fine, forget I'll take your dang quiz next week, whatever. I'm going over to this guy's class now.
Yeah.
So that way, and I believe maybe having the multiple mentors is a nice way of removing the flaws each individual mentor has.
Yeah.
Because you're able to see, the better way of doing things that the one person can't teach you. So by having the 5 mentors, you get the common good between all of them. So maybe you don't get the greatest, ability to ride the horse under your horse riding thing, but then you don't wind up, like whipping animals so very often because, your herbology teacher teaches you, no, don't smack an animal unless you really need to.
Okay, yeah. So you pick up bits and pieces from various,
And so the flaws of the one wind up getting, covered up by, the abilities of the others. So in that case, I think I've made a very good argument for multiple mentors rather than just the one.
Yeah, I'll take that. Yeah, I think so. Now, what if you have like a great mission, like your
a grand cause,
like your mission is to slay a dragon, and imagine like you're born knowing that like this is what or maybe like you're 5 years old and the dragon burns down your village and you vow.
No, we'll do something better than that. We'll go
Okay.
When you were born, aside from like the midwife and the soothsayer comes in and says, you see all those comments up above? Yeah, the direction they're going means you're going to slay a great foul, reptilian beast.
Yeah, but you can't do that at 10 years old or whatever. So you got to be.
Well, not unless you're playing some sort of weird, crazy campaign.
So you have to put your entire life, like into defeating this dragon, like.
I mean, I don't even have my parents' surname. They called me Dragon Slayer, just as a surname. I got a lot to live up to. I'm Johnny Dragon Slayer.
I forget. I forget what I was going to ask,
but yeah, I mean, if you're that devoted to it, there's definitely going to be then your name winds up becoming like the mentor.
Yeah. Well, it's a little like Harry Potter, like all the teachers are like, oh,
the boy who lived, the boy who lived. Then it's like, well, I guess I got to stand up to these shoes now. But no, if your parents wind up naming you Dragon Slayer as a name because you've been prophesied to slay a dragon, then, I mean, that could bend your mind in multiple ways. Did you ever read the Goblins webcomic?
A couple of strips of it, but I didn't keep
I
up with it.
recommend it. It's off of hiatus and updating again.
Okay.
But in it, there's a goblin called Saves a Fox. And the way the goblins make their names is they get a prophet that says something particularly, profound about who they're going to wind up being. So they have, one guy whose name is Complains of Names. All he does is rag on everyone else's dang names. And such and so forth like that. And so, there's the one goblin whose name is Saves a Fox.
Right.
And she hated the concept of, that was her grand goal in life, is to save a fox. So when she found a fox that was in trouble and needed saving, she killed it. Just to prove fate has no strength over her.
All right.
Can I reveal a plot twist for you?
I don't know. Ask the listeners.
Okay, skip ahead if you don't want to hear the plot twist.
If you don't want the webcomic goblins spoiled, skip ahead now.
Either pause this, read all through the webcomic, the goblins, webcomic archives, and then come back here, or just skip ahead and then you'll get it.
No, but I don't care. Go ahead.
Turns out, cause she keeps the trinket of the fox with her. The one goblin realizes. The one goblin's name is Dies Horribly. Yeah, ain't that a name for you? But yeah, he recognizes that the fox had a rather nasty disease that was incurable. By killing it, she saved it a lot of pain.
Yeah.
So she still wound up saving a fox.
I thought you were going to go with, saved its paw or something.
No, she saved the tail. She saves the fox's tail.
Okay.
But no, she wound up saving the fox a lot of pain by putting it out of its misery, by killing it when she saw it. But I mean, okay, welcome back. That's an interesting thing to think about, though. With what if that's your name? For your grand destiny is to save a fox. That's the only good thing you're doing for the entire world. That's kind of like anticlimactic. What do you do in the rest of your life after you save that fox? Yeah.
Well, it's almost just as bad as just saying your destiny is to be a human. I mean, because. That's funny because saving a human is heroic, but just being a human, that's about, equivalent as far as... That's
as mundane for humanity as it gets, man. Every human has to be a human.
Yeah.
Unless you're some sort of elf poser. Oh, is that for a horrible, okay, your grand, purpose in life is to imitate elves. Congratulations, you poser.
I think you sometimes get those characters, don't you, in a D&D
particularly
world,
in Shadowrun.
The Elfo Files.
Yeah, but it is a particular thing in Shadowrun, elf posers.
Mm-hmm.
Just because, why not? It looks weird and it works as a nice allegory for horrible positive racisms. But I mean, these people, that are winding up posing up like the elves, they're using the elf as a race as a mentor. All the ideals that represent elven ideals are something they want, so the elves act as a special mentor for them.
Yeah.
So in which case, that's another one where it's not just any one individual, but them all together and the best points of all, and ignore that horrible, elf that wound up going on a killing spree. It was a confusion spell. Sorry. In which case, you ignore all the flaws of the individual elf for the grand nature of what it means to be an elf. And so, I think that's not necessarily the best thing. I think ultimately, the best person is one who doesn't have a mentor. One who has transcended the need to have a mentor.
Okay.
It's like, this is, I don't know where I'm going, but this is the path I will walk, and I shall become whatever it takes me to become.
Huh. The best as in sort of the strongest or the most self-reliant, self-sufficient.
The best is in, I think the person who doesn't need to rely on others. Okay. The person who is deciding their own fate, not based on what another person does or doesn't do.
I think that's definitely cool. That very evocative idea. I think in the stories we tell,
almost unheard of as a concept.
Well, and I think in the stories we tell,
except for maybe chaos, because you read the Warhammer stuff where it's like warship chaos. And what does that mean to be, chaotic? It kind of means, you got to be your own self. So the people who are the most devout acolytes of chaos are the people who are very much just being themselves and as true to them as they can be.
Yeah.
Weird.
The way we tend to have, morals is that it is important to work, the hero has to learn somehow to interrelate with society in some way, somehow... what if it becomes what if that's the goal of all mentors, is that they are the people that aren't trying to be someone else. So as soon as you stop trying to reach up to a mentor's ideals, you become a mentor, whether or not you have a protege or not. And thus the act of not being someone who follows someone else is what causes other people to want to follow you. Maybe, I don't know.
That's some pretty deep thoughts there, I think.
If you project that aura of stability and knowing what you're doing and having a proper purpose in life, I think generally people are drawn to that. Like human beings, we're almost like wolves in that sense. We draw ourselves to an alpha male or something. Not directly, but no. Metaphorically and analogously.
I think on a subconscious level, people do follow those who seem to know what they're doing. If for no other reason, it's they seem to know what's going on. It probably wouldn't hurt me to just follow along and follow suit and see what happens.
It's like seeing a lineup and just being I wonder where this lineup goes to. I guess I better join it.
I kind of need to use the bathroom, but I'm kind of hungry. So if whether or not it goes to a food court or the bathrooms, I'm set either way. So that's how you go about it.
I guess. I've been on the hero's journey for some weeks, and I've always liked it. But that's the contradiction between the hero is that he's both a part and in the community. He has to, in some way, he has to separate himself and be his own person, self-sufficient, all that. But at the same time, he will have to reintegrate and find his place in the world. That's the hero's journey, sort of.
To remind you, a lot of the hero's journey wind up with the hero leaving in the sunset, so to speak, where they've moved too far apart from their thing. There might be a place for them elsewhere, but it's no longer where they were to become the hero.
Yeah, so they might divorce themselves entirely. That can happen, yeah. From just
or they realize that,
or die. Yeah. I mean, that happens.
That happens an awful lot. Yeah.
Sometimes the hero just dies. Yeah.
There we go. Down. Too bad. It would have been climactic if a villain had done that to him, but it appears they just ate too much fried chicken.
That doesn't happen too often in stories. I'm not sure why, but yeah, usually the hero just doesn't die from just Well,
unless
heart
that's
attack.
like a setup, like the hero's always sitting around like whenever the hero's got I need time to think, what do? I go and I get myself some fried chicken.
Uh-huh.
And so they wind up, always eating a whole lot of fried chicken. Oh, I've got the idea. Grab the rest of the bucket. Let's go. And the next thing it's they solve the crime, but chasing the villain, and they wind up, causing a heart attack because they keep eating so much fried chicken, their arteries are clogged. In which case, it's just it seems a little anticlimactic that way because everyone expects if the hero's going to die, it's going to do the heroic sacrifice, not like the heroic clogged artery. But as I've been told, there are no character flaws, only relatable traits.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Okay.
So in which case, a person who really digs his fried chicken, it's not a character flaw. It's like, dude, I like fried chicken. This guy likes fried chicken. I can relate to him. Let's keep reading about the fried chicken inspector.
Well, yeah, of course. Enjoying food is not necessarily a flaw.
Detective Sanders, I'm calling him. Yeah.
Can I point out,
Yes.
since we're near the end, we have social media that listeners can communicate with us. Let's start with Gmail. TheSimulationist at gmail.com.
All one word, no underscores.
YouTube.com/TheSimulationist. Facebook.com/TheSimulationist. Patreon.com/ Patreon.com/Spaceboot1 for Patreon. Twitter.com/Spaceboot1. That's me on Twitter.
It's Spaceboot, and that's the numeral 1.
Yeah, Spaceboot.
I
1.
read Twitter. I'm not a part of it.
So you don't have an account yet, so we can't
No.
plug your Twitter account yet.
Well, maybe that's what I'll start doing now that I got these 2 hours free on Tuesdays.
Yeah, it shouldn't take too long.
I'll tweet the heck out of the place.
I would really like to see what you would do with Twitter. I don't know.
140 characters. Well, as I said to one person on Facebook, they were upset in that they had no followers, and then I said, no, don't think of it as a bad thing. Think of it as like unlimited freedom. There's no one there to judge you.
Yeah,
you can be whoever you
exactly.
want within the confines of 140 characters.
Yep.
So dig that, man. Dig that.
Yep. Is that all the things? So yeah, if you find us on any of those sites and you feel like writing in little comments, we'd love to hear from you. And we love to hear reviews, as many stars or thumbs or whatever site happens to allow you to give us. We would love to have that. And I think is that all the social media? I think that's all the social media.
They have stars and they have thumbs, but they don't have any thumb stars.
Like
Or,
stars with thumbs, or
like it'd be a thumb up, but instead of the thumb being up there, ends in a star. So why not do both, man? Why settle yourself on just the one when you can own it for your own?
Yeah, you could. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I guess we should do just wrap it up on what we think.
Before we had presented this topic, I hadn't considered the concept of the value of multiple mentors to alleviate flaws. And the more I brought it up, the more convinced I am that that's probably the best way to go about it. To not just have the one mentor, but have the several mentors. That way you can have friction. One mentor says, I got to do it this way. Another mentor says that way. This is the hero's dilemma. Which mentor to follow? Spoiler alert, I recommend taking the third path. If choice A doesn't appeal to you and choice B doesn't appeal to you, find choice C.
Okay. Yeah.
In which case, maybe that's like a defining point of the moment of the hero is that
Did you say spoiler alert on that?
No, that's just a
Oh.
Yeah. I don't suppose that's I guess it's kind of a spoiler alert because I'd wind up being a twist ending for anyone who writes it, is writing a story. But that would wind up being a nice twist on that. Is you have to learn when to not follow your mentors. Because you don't like either of the options presented, you have to find the other option.
Sure.
The option that makes you okay with how you're living your life afterwards.
So, 2 roads diverged in a yellow wood, and
I built the helicopter that let me soar above them both.
I built a helicopter out of twigs and leaves.
If pigs can build a house out of twigs and leaves and make it nearly wolf-resistant, I'm pretty certain in this allegorical universe I can make myself a helicopter. Provided there's no airborne wolves.
Here's what I do. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, so I punched a tree and then made a pickaxe and dug down into the earth.
As an alternative option for myself, I would have set up an inn at the crossroads.
build an inn. Start charging.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Build a toll booth.
An extra fee for advice for anyone coming back the path. Say which one is like. That way, the person who comes back the path, I can it was like, well, congratulations, you didn't like what you wanted, so you came back. I do have a role for you as an advisor, so you can advise people about what it's like to go down that path. And then, bam! Now I'm helping out the economy. I'm a cornerstone of this path in the woods, man. And apparently, I'll do some trading with whatever you dig up from underneath the earth. There you go.
All right. Cool. I guess that was our thoughts on mentorship and
how about you?
Emulating your heroes.
What's your final word on a mentor?
My final word. I guess it's just a part of life. I mean, we all have to find our way to differentiate ourselves from our hero. At the same time, we want to emulate them, but we also want to make ourselves distinct from them.
What if emulating a mentor, but not exactly, is like tweaking a game system? It's like, I rather like Dwarf Fortress, but I'd like it even better if I had these weapons in here.
I think,
Dwarves moves extra fast. And that's like you guys I like this mentor, but instead I will have like 4 daggers on my side, and all this here, and I want to learn how to sneak through the shadows instead of just openly confronting every last opponent around. And I want to do this, but I'll still keep the same ideals towards chivalry going on there. And I want to keep this stuff, and I'll get this mentor over here, and I'm going to take his stuff there, and I'm going to Hey, that's me now. This is who I am, and take the best of all these sources I prefer.
Yeah, and then once you've built, sort of a persona or a hero, like as yourself, like I am, or you're designing a game or something, or writing a book, and you're taking everything that came before. And
I want him to be smart, like Sherlock Holmes, but I want him to be a magician, so I shall be Warlock Holmes.
So you're sort of combining all this. You're crafting some persona. It might be a work of art, or it might be your own personality, or it might be
I think it's a powerful thing. Every once in a while, somebody has to sit down and think, who am I? Who do I want to be? And how do I go from me to that me?
Yeah, and you work so hard on trying to make it perfect, but then the next person who does the next version of that, I mean, they're going to learn a lot from you, but they're also going to be like, no, I don't want to do that, or, there's this other guy has a good idea.
I don't like the ramifications of the message you were sending here, whether or not it was intentional. So I'll focus my hero to address such a situation, and thus, like that's what's going to differentiate me. He's really big on this sort of thing, as opposed to just, I guess whatever, man. I'm paying attention to this other topic here.
Yeah,
I think that's a completely valid way of working on things.
All right. Well, I think that's all we got for the week. But
I think it's been not a bad week, all told.
We'll be back again.
Right. We'll see you in 7 days.
And send one.